Two significant biblical scenes are featured in The Chosen Season 4, Episode 4. Jesus' instruction on servant leadership, Mark 10:35-45, and the healing of the centurion's son, Matthew 8-5:13. You should really look into both of these texts if you're studying The Chosen in your small group, youth ministry, or Bible study. The purpose of the discussion guide and questions is to assist you and your group in dissecting the biblical text as well as how The Chosen Season 4 presents these scenes. By the way, the description also includes a link to my Episode 4 recap, review, and analysis video. Review the questions below before watching The Chosen Season 4, Episode 4. As per usual, before beginning your discussion of Episode 4, I'd like to invite you to quickly review. Jesus seemed to elevate Simon in Season 4, Episode 2 by renaming him Peter. What reactions have Big James, John, and Salome, their mother, given? What do we know about Gaius's personal issues and family life from the previous few seasons? How has his friendship with Matthew and Simon Peter affected him, and how has it helped him grow? How did the previous episode end? What effect do you think Thomas will experience from it? Quintus, Gaius. Prior to viewing The Chosen Season 4, Episode 4, questions for Bible study and discussion. Even those with a cursory understanding of the Bible have likely anticipated by now where the narrative of Gaius is going, and the conclusion drawn from the accounts of James and John also shouldn't come as a surprise. I wouldn't be too concerned about spoiling what happens in Episode 4 in contrast to what happened in Episode 3. I would start your conversation by concentrating on what Jesus taught about servant leadership. The sons of Zebedee, John and James, approached him and said, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." "What do you want me to do for you?" he asked them. "Allow us to sit, one at your right hand and one at your left, in your glory," they said to him. "You do not know what you are asking for," answered Jesus to them. "Can you partake in the cup that I partake in? Or can you undergo the same type of baptism that I do?" They said, "We are able," to him. "You will drink the cup that I drink, and you will be baptized with the baptism that I receive," declared Jesus to them. "But it is not for me to grant to sit at my right hand or at my left. Rather, it is for those for whom it has been prepared." The 10 became enraged at James and John after hearing it. "You know that those who are considered rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them," declared Jesus to them as he beckoned them to him. "But among you, it won't be like that. However, the greatest among you must serve you, and the greatest among you must be the slave of all. Because even the Son of Man came to serve, not to be served, and to offer his life as a ransom for many people." ESV, Mark 10:35-45. Discuss the following queries after that. Let's endeavor to empathize with James and John to the best of our ability. What do they want to get? What are some possible reasons, both good and bad, that could be driving them? While none of us has ever experienced this particular circumstance, can you recall a moment when you prayed to God for more power or prestige, to get into a reputable school, to obtain a new job or promotion, etc.? What kinds of things spurred you on? When Jesus asks if they may share the same baptismal experience as he and drink from the same cup, what does that mean? What is it he wants them to see? Do they not? We frequently undervalue what it takes to have more prestige, influence, or power. Are there any instances in your life or the lives of others that illustrate how having more influence came at the expense of experiencing more hardship? Let's now imagine oneself as the other disciples. Why do they hate John and James so much? What fears do they harbor? What is the difference between the way Jesus wants his followers to perceive authority and power and the way pagans view it? What contemporary instances spring to mind when you consider lording over others? Is there any instance in which you have exhibited this mindset? Which contemporary figures benefited from being servants in order to gain influence and power? Is there an instance where you have served others and gained more power? How did Jesus exemplify leadership that serves? Following the viewing of The Chosen Season 4, Episode 4, questions for Bible study and discussion. Upon viewing an episode of The Chosen, I usually pose a few fundamental questions to individuals. What about the episode stood out to you? What most resonated with you? Did you have any inquiries? Was something not clear to you? As usual, I encourage you to run with the conversation if it takes a wild turn, and don't feel constrained by the questions that come next. But if you require further organization, you can highlight the narratives of Gaius asking Jesus to use his authority to heal his son, and James and John pleading with Jesus to grant them positions of authority in his kingdom, both of which are based on Matthew 8-5:13 and John 4:46-54, were combined in episode 4. The two tales are combined to highlight a variety of intriguing similarities and differences. Now query, what has been Quintus's attitude towards authority, prestige, and power throughout the show so far? Gaius, what say you? Quintus is demoted from his high position at the start of the episode, and Gaius is promoted from his comparatively low status. What is the intended message of this inversion regarding the nature of authority, position, and power? In what ways does Gaius employ the influence, prestige, and power that come with his new role? In what ways does he exemplify the earlier discussed concepts of servant leadership? Gaius saw himself as a worthless outcast among the disciples, despite his enormous influence and prominence within Rome. Why? Do you believe that there are still persons in our day who, although considered prominent or powerful by the world, feel like outsiders deserving of neither the church nor Jesus' assistance? How Matthew and Peter have progressively assisted Gaius on his spiritual journey can teach us something. Why is Jesus astonished when Gaius finally approaches him to ask for assistance? What does this instance disclose about Jesus and Gaius? How do James and John's status and power compare with Gaius's? What is the Gaius perspective on power in relation to James and John's? Why is Jesus astonished when James and John seek for greater authority and power? What does this moment teach us about Jesus, James, and John? Gaius finds Jesus at the end of the episode and gives him a hug. Why do you suppose Jesus found this to be so consoling? Thus, he returned to the Galilean town of Cana, where he had produced the water wine. Additionally, there was an official in Capernaum whose son was unwell. This father went to see Jesus after learning that he had traveled to Galilee from Judea because his son was close to death and needed healing. Jesus spoke to him by saying, "You will not believe unless you see signs and wonders." He was told to come down, sir, before his child passed away by the official. He heard Jesus say, "Go, your son will live." After accepting the message that Jesus had given him, the man left. His attendants approached him while he was falling and informed him that his son was getting better. When he inquired about the time he started feeling better, they informed him that the fever had subsided by yesterday at the 6th hour. The father was aware that Jesus had told him, "Your son will live," at that precise moment, and he, along with everyone in his home, believed. This marked Jesus' second sign after arriving in Galilee from Judea. ESV, John 4:46-54. A centurion approached him as soon as he arrived in Capernaum and begged, "Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, suffering terribly. I will come and heal him." He said to him, "Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed." The centurion retorted, "Because I am a man in charge with soldiers reporting to me as well. And I say, 'Go,' and he goes. I say, 'Come,' and he comes. I say, 'Do this,' and my servant carries it out." Jesus was amazed to hear this and said to his followers, "Really, I tell you, I have found such faith with no one in Israel. I prophesy that many people from the east and west will enter the kingdom of heaven and sit at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, while the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into the outer darkness. There will be crying and gnashing of teeth there." Jesus then answered, "Go, let it be done for you as you have believed," to the centurion. And in that instant the servant recovered. ESV, Matthew 8-5:13. I hope you find these questions useful. Thank you for watching the video, and may God richly reward your research and discussions.